So today we're going to go over the Quizizz assignment and some of the questions that you guys had on it. And I don't want this video to be too long, so we're just going to get right into it. The first question was on the triangle that had the altitudes on it. The first thing I noticed with that was that there was an error. There was an error in this question because it does tell you these triangles are similar. Find the value of the altitude in the smaller triangle. Obviously, this is the smaller triangle, so the altitude is given, and it is 16. So if you put 16, then technically you are answering the question. Okay. However, if you're finding x, right? If you are finding x, then you are finding the altitude in the larger triangle. So if we learned from the first lesson, if you watched the videos and if you paid attention to the note sheet, if two triangles are similar, then everything about them are similar, including the altitudes. So basically, we have to set up proportions. So we can say 18 is proportional to 27, the same way that 16 is proportional to x. And then in that case, we would, use cross multiplication. We would do 18x is equal to 27 times 16. And 27 times 16 gives us 432. Whoops. And 432 divided by 18 gives us a beautiful 24. So I did get a split amount of people giving both of these answers, but that's because some people answered the question and then some people found x. So that's fine. Okay. Moving on. The polygons in each pair are similar. Find the scale factor of the smaller figure to the larger figure. So I put this question on here because the question was, when you're finding the scale factor, does it matter which figure is on the top and which one's on the bottom? So just know that if whichever figure you're putting on the top is the figure that you are saying is first. So for example, the scale factor of the smaller figure to the larger figure. So in this case, the smaller figure would go on top and the larger figure would go on the bottom. So if they're similar, if it's already stated that they're similar, then all you need is one pair of sides. Okay, so obviously, if these are drawn to scale, then this side here would correspond to this side. This side up here would correspond to this side. This side here would correspond to this side. And then this last side here would correspond to this side. And since you only need one side, the check marks in black are the only ones that you have both measures in both figures. So in this case, all we need to do is set this up like smaller figure to the larger figure. So we're going to do, this is small, this is large. So this is going to be 14 to 21. And then you're just simplifying this fraction. So we can divide 14 and 21 by 7. And we're going to get 2 over 3. Now, if I was saying find the scale factor from the large figure to the small figure, then the large would go on the top and the small would go on the bottom. And then you would do 21 over 14, and then you would get 3 over 2. But that's that. But since they say smaller figure to the larger figure, small goes on top. Determine whether the triangles are similar. So this is something that, even though this is the easiest one, this is something that we really struggle with. So remember that just like triangle congruence, triangle similarity also gives us shortcuts. So here we see that we have two congruent angles. Why? Because this is a 90-degree angle. This is a 90-degree angle. And we know from doing many proofs that all right angles are congruent. So we have one pair here. And then also, I think that by now this should automatically be instilled in our brains that vertical angles are also congruent. So obviously we don't know anything about the sides. So side would be eliminated and side angle side would be eliminated. And then we know from our shortcuts that all we need is two pairs of angles. And that proves similarity. So these are similar by angle. Then we have if triangle CDG is similar to EDF, then find the value of X. This was something that I saw time and time again. I had a lot of people that got this incorrectly because they didn't know what sides were proportional to which. This is where this similarity statement is everything. So this similarity statement tells me that CD is proportional to ED, and pay attention to my color scheme, and DG is proportional to DF, and then CG is going to be proportional and corresponding to EF. So based on this logic, I'm going to now color code this in my triangle. So CD is going to correspond to ED, and DG, so DG is going to correspond to DF, and then my last two sides, so CG is going to correspond to EF. So now in order to solve here, I can set up my proportions. So I can do CD. So CD is to DE the same way that DG is to FD. So all the information that I needed was in my similarity statement. And I think this is where we get confused. So after I set that up, then I'm just substituting all the values that I have. So 48 over 5x minus 2 is equal to 40 over 2x plus 7. And after that, I'm just using cross multiplication again, and I'm solving for x. So this is going to be 48 times 2x plus 7 is equal to 40 times 5x minus 2. And I have 48 times 2 is going to give me 96x. 48 times 7 is going to give me 336. 40 times 5 is going to give me 200x. And then 40 times 2 is going to give me 80. Well, 40 times negative 2 is going to give me negative 80. So then what happens is, now I want to combine all like terms because my goal here is to isolate x. So now I'm going to add 80 on both sides. So add 80 here, add 80 here. So this is going to give me 6, 1, 1 here, so 416. And now I'm going to subtract 96x. So that's gone over here. And subtract 96x. Whoops. And that leaves me with, what is this, 104? If I'm not mistaken, 104x. So I have 416 is equal to 104x. So now I divide by 104 on both sides. So 104. This goes bye-bye. And x is equal to 4. So first thing you have to do is use the similarity statement. And once you write this out, write your proportion, substitute, and then it's just algebra from there. Okay. Same thing here. So the given triangles are similar. The value of m is blank. So here you were given the angle measures, what was similar. And basically you had to use that to correspond the sides. So if these two sides or these two angles are congruent, then that means that these two sides are corresponding. Similarly, if these two angles are congruent, then that means that these two sides are corresponding or proportional. Because that's the definition of similar figures. So basically, again, if I now want to find the value of m, now I have to set up my proportion. So I have to do 15, or I could do this in red. So 15 is to 10. And it doesn't matter which one you do first, as long as you stay consistent. So 15 is to 10. The same way that m plus 4. And notice that if I start with the large one here, I'm going to start with the large one here as well. So the same way that m plus 4 is to m. And then it's just cross multiplication. So 15m. And that is 10m plus 40. I subtract by 10m on both sides. 5m is equal to, well, this went bye-bye. So now this is 40. I divide by 5 on both sides. And m is equal to 8. See? Easy. The value of x is blank. So again, similarity statement. So this is telling me that DE corresponds to HJ. This is telling me that EF corresponds to JK. This is telling me that DF corresponds to HK. So basically, I'm going to use everything that I don't know and that I know in order to find x. So I'm going to start here. So I know that x is to 9. So x is to 9. And now I'm going to try to use two sides that I know. So I know 10, but I don't know the other side. And I know 12 and 8. So those are the two sides that I'm going to use. So x is to 9 the same way that 12 is to 8. And again, once you have that set up, proportion, cross multiply, and that's going to be 8x is equal to 9 times 12. And 9 times 12 is 108. X is equal to, well, first you have to divide by 8 on both sides. And that's going to give you, x is going to give you 13 and a half. It's very, 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 very easy. So what is the scale factor from ABCD to MNOP? So if you're being asked for the scale factor, then obviously the sides you're being told that it's similar. So all you need to do is pick two sides and find the scale factor. I would pick the ones that are already simplified. So let's see, I have a 3 here and I have a 2 here. Because let's say if I pick 6 and 4, I know that 6 and 4 are both even numbers, and 2 goes into both of those, so I'm going to have to simplify them anyway. Because if I simplify 6 over 4, that gives me 3 over 2 regardless. So I'm just going to pick the smallest sides, and that gave me 3 over 2. So the scale factor from ABCD, which is the largest figure, to MNOP is 3 over 2. So you just pick any side. So in my case, I picked CB over ON, and that gave me 3 over 2. I could have picked any other side, and if you pick any other side, it will still simplify to 3 over 2. Try it. Okay, this was very, very similar to the one on your proportionality homework. So you have a tree. Here's my interpretation of a tree. So we can't all be Miss Tapia and then be Picasso as well. And it's 12 feet tall. And then the shadow that it casts is 9 feet long. So 12 feet tall, and then the shadow is 9 feet long. So then you have a building nearby that casts a shadow that is 21 feet. So you want to see how tall is the building. So, all right, let's see if I don't butcher this building. Let's see, so we have a building. This is my building. Okay. And the building casts a shadow that is 21 feet. And you just want to know how tall is the building? Okay, so basically, again, all you want to know is if you want to set up your tree information to your building information in order to find the height. So therefore, I'm going to do the height of my tree. So the height of my tree is to the height of my building, the same way that the shadow of my tree is to the shadow of my building. And you guys had a question very similar to this with the fire hydrant in the building on your other homework. So then again, cross multiplication, and I have 9x is equal to 12 times 21. So 12 times 21 gives me 252. So 9x is equal to 252. I divide by 9 on both sides. So I divide by 9 on both sides, and x is equal to 28, which means that my building here measures 28 feet, which is what they were saying here. Okay. So again, draw the picture Make sure you label everything correctly. On the one on the homework, you were in feet, or you were in inches, you had to convert it to feet. But again, set up a proportion and solve. And then I had just a general question. Do congruent angles determine similarity? Only in triangles. So if you have two, that's why we use AA, but only in triangles. And how do you find similarity in non-triangles? So you just follow the qualifications. So all angles congruent, or all corresponding angles, and then the other qualification is that all corresponding sides are proportional. Oops. So the difference is that when you're working with triangles, you just have those three shortcuts. But when you're not working with triangles, then you have to prove that everything, so that all the corresponding angles are congruent and all the corresponding sides are proportional. So I hope this video helped. I mean, it is pretty long, but you guys did have a lot of questions. Not that many, but I figured that these were like very good questions to ask questions on. Okay, see you next time.